Guys, I have a confession to make. I am struggling with my collection. I need some help. I need to get a little bit more focused, and I'm going to talk about it in this video. Stick around. Hello to all my sports card collector, investor, all of my collectibles friends out there. How's everybody doing? It's Monday. Is everyone's Monday kind of rocky coming off of a holiday here in the US? For me, not so bad. I'm not going to say that it's been perfect, but not so bad. Today, I'm going to talk about the need for me to really get a more focused collection, more focused approach as I move into 2022 for my collection. And I'm going to explain how I'm going to do that here in a second. But before I get started, please hit that subscribe button. If you do like what you hear, the like button is very much appreciated. It helps us with the YouTube algorithm machine. And also a little tappity tap on the notification bell, or as my kids like to say, a karate chop on the notification bell to make sure you are notified every time we have a new video come out, which is 5, 6, sometimes 7 times a week. We're coming in hot with sports card content. All right, guys, so since I got back into sports cards and collectibles more seriously, I would say beginning of 2018 was really when I started to start buying and accumulating. I've been a little bit all over the place, and some of that has been good in the sense that I've gotten to kind of get a feel for things that I like, what I don't like, things that I might like long term over maybe things that are short term. So I think it's one of those things where I don't know if I necessarily consider it a mistake, but more of just kind of experience. Now I've kind of got a little bit more experience, and I think part of my issue is that I'm into a lot of different things, a lot of different types of collectibles. So I do buy sports cards. I also buy graded comic books. I also buy graded video games. I'm into non-sports cards as well, depending on what it is. So between those things alone, and then there's, I've got some graded starting lineups. So just between that stuff, it's very easy to get overwhelmed with the amount of options. And I think that at times, while I do enjoy all the things that I've been getting, I think part of my issue though is that I enjoy a lot of things. And so I really need to narrow down and prioritize the things, like what is most important to me. Because frankly, I'm not independently wealthy. I can't have all the things. And so a lot of times what happens is, I get something and then, 2 or 3 days later, I'm out of funds. I see something else I would like. And it's kind of like, I need to be a little bit more focused and a little bit more strategerying. Yes, I just made up that word. Well, I stole part of that from George W. Bush. Strategerying. I need to have some more strategy. So I'm going to kind of lay out my plan here, and I'd like your thoughts too. If you have any tips, or if you're kind of along the same boat as me where you're like, man, I'm all over the place. I need to kind of get a little bit more organized. Okay, so what I want to do for 2022 is really narrow down to 50 items, and that's going to include sports cards, graded comic books, graded video games. So, and to be honest with you, I know that might sound like a lot of items, 50, but for me, it will be a chore to get it to 50 items. And then from there, I want to prioritize down to 20 items. So out of the 50 items that I want to get in 2022, what are the 20 that I really want to have the most, the top 20? And part of the reason why I bring this video out now is because we still have about, 30 days left in the year. And it's going to take me, honestly, that full 30 days with everything I've got going on, but also to really put thought into it, to narrow it down to not only 50 items, but down to 20 items. And then what I'm going to do here as well is I'm going to zero in on those 20 items. And I think that what I'm going to do is in no particular order, the 20 items. And the reason for that is because you never know out of those 20 where you might snag a good auction deal or buy it now pops up and you're like, okay, that's priced right. I'm ready. So I don't want to say like, I don't want to prioritize it as number 20 all the way down to my number 1 wanted, because frankly, out of those 20, I will want all of them, so maybe I prioritize a few over some of the others, but for the most part, I'm going to want all of those things. And so I'm really going to kind of, try to drill down. Any money made from sales in 2022, I can then look, this is kind of a rule I've made for myself, I can then look to expand beyond the 20 to the 50. So, those top 20 will be kind of new money, that I'm putting into the hobby, essentially, money that I'm making and putting back in. That won't be from flips necessarily. That'll be from my own paychecks, because I don't do a lot of flipping. I'm mostly a long-term guy. I want to hold on to the stuff for an extended period of time. And so I won't be doing a ton of, speculating. Well, it's all speculation, but prospecting, I should say. So not a lot of current player stuff, but I will mix in a couple of current players just to make it interesting. And frankly, there are a couple of current players that I really, really like that I would like to put some resources to. But where I'm going to need to get picky, though, is which cards of those players specifically, and maybe I narrow it down to one set. Maybe it's National Treasures, or maybe it's Optic, or whatever. But the point is that it's going to be narrowed down to, a couple of players. And it needs to be narrowed down to as well to, if these particular cards pop up for those players, then they're an option. So again, if I'm able to sell some cards in 2022, then I will use those sales to expand beyond the 20, my top 20, so to speak. And a lot of what I have as far as to sell, I have a really good base collection, I feel like, for the certain things that I've collected. I've got 80s basketball cards. I've got a lot of, vintage football as well as 80s, 90s football stuff. I've got some insert sets for football. But I do have some lower valued cards. I've still got some soccer cards that I would like to sell. And so there's certain things that I'm looking at. How does this serve me in my collection? Or is this something I really, really want? Is this a priority compared to what I'm prioritizing for 2022? Because I do have things in lower dollar cards that it's kind of like, maybe I take a little bit of a loss on some of this stuff, lose a few bucks here and there, and then gain it kind of in other items that I want. Because I do have some items left over where I was kind of prospecting on certain things. Didn't really pan out the way that I thought that it would. And who knows, maybe down the road, if I hold on to these things, maybe they'll, come back down the line. But, again, though, there's certain things that I want now, and I've got kind of more of a grasp of what I want my collection to look like. And it's okay to take some losses here and there. So I'm going to take a look at kind of the big picture there. And if there's $5, $10 cards, $15, $20 cards, and maybe I'm selling those at a discount, but I am kind of moving them out. They're taking up space, not really doing anything for me. And then I can move into other things that make a little bit more sense based on kind of where I've nailed down my targets, kind of my target areas. For graded video games, it's the classic NES stuff. It's the black box launch games going back to, the 80s. I'm very focused around that as opposed to modern video games that are graded. No, I'm really focused on the original Nintendo, and that's about it outside of maybe a couple Sega Genesis games. But that's where my focus is on the gaming side. On the comic book side, kind of a similar story. I've got it narrowed down to certain characters, certain IPs, within comics that I'm interested in. Non-sports cards, similar. I've got a few things on the non-sports side that I would really love to obtain. Come on, man. Come on. Let's get with it. So we're going to kind of narrow it down. And what I will do is, this is going to be kind of fun documentation. I will share this video, not necessarily the 50, but the top 20 that I do pick. I'm going to share that in a video. And then in a year, we'll kind of look back and be like, man, you did pretty good and got a lot of the things on the list. Or it's going to be, you completely failed. You didn't get anything on your list. And then you also went off on a tangent and you did other things. But no, the big reason why too, I want to get more focused with my collectibles buys is frankly, I'm in on other things as well. I've been also focused on cryptocurrencies as well. I'm having fun with that. Kind of learning the ins and outs of it, and it's volatile like crazy. So, it's very, very speculative, obviously, but that can be kind of a fun game too. And so, and then we've got traditional investments. So there's a lot of things that are going on. And for my collectible stuff, it's like, I love all of it. I've got a great base collection, but man, moving into 2022, there's certain cards because I'm not focused. I'm not getting kind of more of these grail type cards. And for me, it doesn't have to be a $50,000 card to be a grail. There's just certain cards that I want in my collection that are not necessarily super expensive, but are just important cards to me. So that's going to be the big focus, guys. Let me know your thoughts on this. Do you have kind of a New Year's resolution with your card collection or collectibles? Anything? Let me know. If you're collecting other things as well, I'd like to hear about it. But I think this is kind of important. It's important for me to get focused and organized. And let me know if this is something that is of interest to you as well. Guys, have an amazing rest of your Monday. Stay healthy, stay awesome, and I will talk to you again later.